Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts, and this is a special episode, and today's dinosaur that we're actually going to be talking about is Tawa. And the name is actually Pueblo Indian name for sun god. And this is the kind of new thing for naming dinosaurs, is that you can actually choose any kind of language you want to name your dinosaur. That's basically how it is. And it's actually found in both South America and North America, aged in the Middle Triassic around 215 million years ago. 7 feet long, probably I'd say between 25 to 35 pounds. And it's a carnivore. And it's a small-sized bipedal theropod. And so when we look at Tawa, we actually see that it's very small. It's probably a very fast, agile type of animal. But during the Triassic, it was actually a very different kind of period for dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are just starting out, so basically they're small. They don't really have, they haven't really gotten big yet, and pretty much they actually didn't really start to get big until like the late Triassic, like really right at the end of the Triassic. And so Tawa is actually kind of that dinosaur where it probably eats small reptiles, probably insects, probably some proto-mammals, and so those are the kind of diet that it would probably actually have. Now, during that time, the top predators during the Triassic were archosaurs, basal archosaurs, and so basically those guys actually were roaming the Triassic. Like some of these guys actually got as long as a saltwater crocodile. But even though they actually are terrestrial type of crocodilian-like creatures, and so they would actually be roaming around like kind of like almost like Postosuchus. But even though Postosuchus actually lived during the time, the same time as Coelophysis. And when we look at Tawa, we actually see it does actually have that little notch basically right on where the spine is between the premaxilla and the maxilla, with the skull bones that are part of the upper jaw. Because the premaxilla is basically right at the front, the front part of the snout of the skull, and then the maxilla is basically the upper part of the jaw. So it's actually the majority of the upper jaw. So that's pretty much what I'm talking about, if you guys don't know what the maxilla and premaxilla are in the skull. And so, and we probably believe that it probably did capture fish at some point. Now, when you have like a little notch like some crocodilians do, you're more likely to catch prey that is actually that is very slippery and probably has slippery scales, which is basically fish. And so when you're actually catching fish like that, you have to be very patient. And so I'm pretty sure that Tawa is a very patient type of dinosaur when it comes to actually possibly fishing, like at a small lake, maybe like a small stream, those kinds of places. But even though when we actually look at Tawa, we actually do see it is a very fast animal. So. And dinosaurs' main defense at that time was actually speed. His speed was actually their #1 defense. And so when you have basal archosaurs chasing you, you need to get away from those kinds of predators, because those kinds of predators are ambush predators. They probably don't run very fast, very long. And so Tawa would have actually been would have easily won a race between probably say something like a Postosuchus. So it would have probably just outcompeted a Postosuchus in a 40-yard dash. So let's just put it that way. And but we still don't. But even though when this dinosaur actually kind of was first discovered, the press actually thought it was actually the ancestor of Tyrannosaurus Rex. But basically, That's overstating it. That's really overstating it, because you see, the media really does like to actually like to compare any new dinosaur to like a very famous dinosaur like Tyrannosaurus Rex, and Tyrannosaurus Rex is actually the most famous dinosaur of all time, and that's why the media actually gets basically the point of when a paleontologist say this dinosaur is bigger than T-Rex. What they actually probably stating it is that this, like, say, when they found the new sauropod, when paleontologists find the new sauropod, they would actually say, oh, it's the biggest. It's one of the largest sauropods that we've actually discovered so far. But then the media starts saying like, oh, it's the biggest dinosaur of all time. No, that's not it. It's basically that it's probably one of the biggest sauropods, one of the biggest animals to ever live on land. That's what the scientist is actually saying. And so with Tawa, what they were probably saying is that it's probably one of the main ancestors of most theropod dinosaurs that actually came on later in the Jurassic and the Cretaceous. So that's probably why the press actually thought like this could be the ancestor of Tyrannosaurus Rex. But you see, Tyrannosaurus Rex actually came from a family group called Coelurosaurs, so it was actually pushing it a little bit. So that kind of actually was overstating it. The media overstates almost any new dinosaur discovery. It's because they always want to compare one dinosaur to the other, and they actually like to say like, oh, it's the biggest, or it's the most ferocious, and all that kind of stuff. But basically, that's not what paleontology is all about. We don't make ill-advised comparisons like that. We actually just compare different kinds of dinosaurs and actually see how some dinosaurs differ from the other in terms of like skeletal design, body size, diet, and also possibly how they moved. But even though behavior-wise, that's very different. And with Tawa's case, I would say that the media did actually overstate how they actually portray Tawa. But with the location of where of Tawa's fossils have been found, South America and North America, that actually really does support that Pangea was still around during that time of the Triassic. Pangea did not really start splitting apart until right at the end of the Triassic, and that's the Triassic extinction event, where you have the continent of Pangea was splitting apart, and basically that actually gave us the idea that's how the mid-Atlantic Oceanic Ridge actually began, was actually the splitting of Pangea. And so South America was actually splitting apart from Africa and also North America, and it was probably still attached to North America a little bit during the early Jurassic. But even though South America started splitting apart away from North America probably around the mid-Jurassic, and so that's why South America was isolated for millions of years, from the middle Jurassic all the way towards probably say like 5 million years ago, when the Isthmus of Panama was actually born. And so Tawa's fossils are actually found in both South America and North America, and one spot in North America and where Tawa fossils have been found is actually right near Ghost Ranch. Is where scientists found the numerous Coelophysis skeletons all jumbled together in this site in New Mexico. So that actually is really good. That is a really good discovery to show that this layer is actually right above the Ghost Ranch layer, and so that actually really does support the idea that probably Coelophysis, but that basically that Coelophysis was actually a predecessor and Tawa was actually descendant. And of course, extinction of Tawa, basically just climate changes of new prey was actually coming around, and also and also another reason why is probably because it was getting close to the end of the Triassic, and basically you actually have the beginning of the end of the Pangea era, and so that's why Pangea was really near its end during that point in time. So you actually have numerous events actually happening, volcanic events that would actually be happening, and so that's basically how it probably ended. Alright, that's it for now, and next week will actually be an Answering Questions episodes, and it will be Valentine's Day next week, can you believe that? And so, but even though this is not going to be about, I would actually still go for asking me questions about Prehistoric Life. Don't give me any love story kind of stuff here. That's not what I'm about right now. I'm just talking about. I'm just teaching you guys some prehistoric life. That's my job here. And so, anyway, so next week will be an Answer Questions episode. So if you got a question about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life, feel free to email me at dinocris71@gmail.com, or the ways you can actually post the questions in the Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, and you can actually post the questions in the comments section on any Facebook post. Remember, keep it short and simple. That way I can actually understand where you're coming from and know what you're asking about. And also, you can follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. That's my Twitter page. Like and follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter, and I post pretty cool stuff on there. And also, take care of the people around you. And also, for you younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. Those are the best motivation you can have for a good education. It's very important to have a good education. With a good education, you get a good job in the future. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week.